So, picture this scenario for a second. It's 1981, right?
Okay.
And there's this blind yogi who starts teaching this radical, I mean, almost heretical idea to anyone who will listen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he basically starts telling people, hey, you don't need to abandon your social life. You don't need to, give up a glass of wine with dinner.
Which is pretty rare to hear in those circles.
Exactly. And you certainly don't need to go isolate yourself in a cave for a decade just to reach some sort of profound spiritual enlightenment.
Right, the typical ascetic path.
Yeah, he actually makes this wild claim that you can start unlocking these crazy abilities like deep physical healing and this overwhelming, boundless love with just 5 minutes of practice.
Just 5 bats.
Just 5 minutes lying in your own bed.
I mean, honestly, it sounds like a pitch for a modern wellness app or something.
Right. Like an Instagram ad.
Totally.
Yeah.
But the fact that this specific framework was being taught decades ago by a traditional yogi is, well, it's what makes it so incredibly compelling.
Yeah, for sure.
We are essentially looking at a philosophy that intentionally, dismantles all those high walls usually built around mysticism.
And that tension is exactly why we are plunging into today's source material for this deep dive.
I'm super excited for this one.
Me too. We're going to explore a highly specific case study detailed by a man named Osman. He's widely known as the Blind Muslim Yogi.
And he's an energy healer.
Right, an energy healer and an entrepreneur. And he's been teaching basic yoga and meditation entirely for free since 1981.
That's amazing.
So today we are going to look at how one of his completely average, highly social students managed to achieve this massive physiological, psychological, and spiritual evolution in just 12 months.
Which is just a crazy fast timeline. But really quickly, before we delve into the actual mechanics of those milestones, we definitely need to establish Osman's standard disclaimer.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Good call.
Yeah, so the source really emphasizes that these are all natural energy-based therapies.
Right.
They are completely not a replacement for qualified medical treatment. So, if you're dealing with a medical condition, you should always consult a licensed medical professional.
Right. A really crucial boundary to set up front, especially when we get into some of the wild physical claims a bit later on.
Oh, definitely.
But to really grasp the magnitude of the benefits this particular student experienced, we kind of have to look at her starting point.
Yeah, set the stage.
So Osman introduces us to this woman in her 30s, and the kicker is she has absolutely zero prior knowledge of yoga.
Which is actually such a vital variable in this whole case study.
Really? How so?
Well, think about it. When someone normally embarks on a traditional spiritual path, they often carry all this, heavy preconceived baggage about what meditation is supposed to feel like.
Oh, I see. Like they expect to see lights or float or something.
Exactly. They anticipate visions or specific bodily tingles because they've read a bunch of books about it.
Right.
But this student was basically a blank slate. She had none of that psychological baggage.
Sure.
And that arguably removes a massive chunk of the placebo effect.
That makes a ton of sense. And the source also explicitly points out that she lived a distinctly modern, normal life.
Right. She wasn't a monk.
Not at all. She went to parties, she drank alcohol, she ate an omnivorous diet.
To totally average 30-something.
Yeah. Now, Osman did advise her to, try to incorporate more plant foods when she could, which she did try, but she was definitely not living as this strict ascetic.
She kept her normal place in society.
Exactly. And her practice was strictly limited to just 20 to 30 minutes a day.
And that rapid advancement, despite what is honestly a pretty casual commitment, is where Osman's specific methodology really comes into play.
Right, the secret sauce.
Yeah. He attributes her astronomical progress to this catalyst that he calls spiritual initialization, or initiation.
Okay, yes, I wanted to ask about this.
So he provided this initiation directly to her, and then she coupled it with some advanced breath work.
Okay, so I struggle a bit to understand what spiritual initialization actually means in, a tangible sense.
It sounds a bit abstract, yeah.
It really does. I mean, my brain immediately jumps to, a video game cheat code.
Oh, that's a good analysis.
Or, an over-the-air software update sent straight from the teacher to the student's brain. But in reality, what is actually happening there? Is this just a really profound placebo effect where the teacher's authority just makes the student believe they can meditate better? Or is there, a literal physical transmission happening?
So Osman describes it as an energetic transmission. But if that's too mystical, We can also view it through the lens of nervous system regulation.
Okay, I like that. Break that down for me.
Think of a person's baseline energetic state as an untuned guitar.
Okay.
If you hand a highly untuned guitar to a total novice,
Yeah.
they might spend 10 years just twisting the pegs, randomly trying to figure out what a standard E chord is even supposed to sound like.
Right, just totally guessing.
Exactly. The grueling path of traditional asceticism is basically that process. Just trying to find the tuning through years of trial and error.
10 years of sitting in complete silence just to find the baseline.
Yeah. And Osman is basically suggesting that the baseline doesn't need to be this giant mystery.
Okay.
The initiation is basically the teacher acting as a master tuning fork.
Oh, wow.
By introducing a deeply balanced, highly regulated energetic frequency to the student's nervous system gets to instantly experience what that target state feels like.
Oh, so their internal circuitry just aligns with that frequency.
Exactly. Now, it doesn't bypass the actual work. I mean, she still practiced her breath work every single day, but it completely removes the friction of ignorance.
Right, because she knows what she's aiming for.
Yes. Her 20 minutes of practice were maximally efficient because her body already knew the energetic destination.
That is fascinating, and it fundamentally lowers the barrier to entry for just the average person. Like, the spiritual journey doesn't require suffering as a prerequisite. It just requires the right frequency to tune into.
Beautifully put.
And for this specific student, hitting that frequency didn't result in her, levitating or retreating into a monastery.
No, not at all.
It actually directly addressed a superhuman, very relatable anxiety she had.
Which was?
The fear of never finding love.
Ah, yes. The first major milestone of her 12-month journey. It's deeply rooted in real-world relationship dynamics.
Yeah, so she was single in her 30s, and frankly, she was terrified.
Which is so common.
It really is. She actually admitted to Osman that she had this deep-seated fear that she was going to desperately settle for the wrong person just to avoid a lifetime of loneliness.
Just out of sheer panic.
Exactly. And Osman made this rather audacious prediction.
Oh boy.
He told her that by balancing her energies through this new daily practice, she would attract her absolute soulmate within 12 months.
I mean, putting a hard deadline on finding a life partner is a massive gamble for any spiritual teacher to make.
Right. But get this. She actually called him before the 12 months were even up.
You're kidding.
Nope. She found someone, and they connected instantly. And the wild part is, this wasn't just someone she bumped into at her local coffee shop.
Where were they?
They were located on opposite ends of the globe.
Wow.
And the source details that this connection was so overwhelmingly strong that the man completely abandoned his current trajectory, moved across countries, and totally restructured his life just to be with her.
I mean, that outcome is profound. Especially when you consider her initial state of absolute desperation.
It really is, but I kind of have a hard time swallowing the literal interpretation of this.
Okay, play devil's advocate.
Like, is Osman really suggesting that energy balancing acts like a mystical tractor beam?
Tractor beam.
Yeah. Like a woman sits on a yoga mat, focuses her energy, and it physically drags a specific man from across the planet.
Right, it sounds a bit out there.
It sounds like a fairy tale. Like, what is actually happening to her on a psychological or, I don't know, an energetic level that results in a cross-globe marriage?
So the mystical framing and the psychological reality are honestly just describing the same mechanism from different vantage points.
Okay, how so?
Let's look at the frequency of desperation.
Okay.
Desperation is chaotic, it's loud, and inherently it's selfish.
Right.
When an individual is terrified of being alone, their interactions are almost always driven by this need to extract security from others.
Like they're looking for someone to save them.
Exactly. And humans are incredibly adept at subconsciously picking up on that frequency. We read microexpressions, body language, vocal tension.
We can smell desperation.
We really can.
Yeah.
Desperation acts as a powerful repellent to healthy partners.
Right, because it signals that you are looking for a life raft, not an actual partner.
Perfectly said.
Oh.
So her daily practice of breathwork and energy balancing completely shifted her baseline. By becoming centered and profoundly calm, she basically just stopped radiating that anxiety. She wasn't grasping anymore.
Oh, wow.
And when you drop the chaotic noise of desperation, you start broadcasting security. You broadcast abundance and authenticity.
So it isn't a tractor beam pulling someone across the world?
No. It is the sudden, brilliant visibility of a truly secure person. She became capable of recognizing a healthy connection and confidently engaging with it, rather than scaring it away with neediness.
That makes perfect sense. The internal shift creates the external reality.
Exactly.
Now, finding love is obviously a massive internal shift, but the source reveals that as her practice deepened over those months, this cultivated energy began to influence physical reality in ways that were much more tangible than just romantic attraction.
Oh, this is the part about her pet.
Yes, she started literally influencing the biological well-being of others, specifically her dog.
So the case study moves from personal emotional regulation to the actual outward projection of energy.
Yeah, and the story in the source is incredibly specific and honestly pretty emotional.
What happened?
So the student had a 13-year-old pet, right? Her absolute closest companion. And the animal was ailing rapidly. It was falling into this deep depression, and the veterinarian officially recommended euthanasia.
Oh, that's so hard.
It is. The student was obviously heartbroken, but she just refused to accept that conclusion, so she reached out to Osman for help.
Which is wild because most people in that situation feel entirely helpless and just default to whatever the medical authority says.
Completely. But Osman gave her a totally different perspective. He basically assured her that because her daily practice had brought her to this highly advanced, what he calls a sensitive level.
Right, a sensitive level.
Yeah, that she actually possessed the capacity to heal the pet herself using her mind and her physical touch.
Wow.
So he gave her some simple recommendations on how to proceed. And then months later, Osman checks in.
Yeah.
The pet is not only alive, but thriving. Like actively going for morning walks.
That's incredible.
The euthanasia recommendation was completely bypassed.
Okay, so to understand how touching an animal could literally alter a medical prognosis, we kind of have to define what Osman means by an ascensive level.
Please do, because it sounds like magic.
Right. Well, in energetic terms, it basically means the practitioner has ascended beyond merely managing their own internal chaos.
Okay.
Their nervous system is so robustly regulated at this point that they have a massive surplus of energy.
But wait, how does a surplus of energy in a human fix a failing organ or deep depression in a dog?
Good question.
Like, what is the actual mechanism of action when she places her hands on the animal?
So we can view this through the biological concept of co-regulation.
Co-regulation.
Yeah. Mammals have nervous systems that are quite literally designed to sync up with the nervous systems around them.
Oh, sure. Like when a baby calms down when the mom holds it.
Exactly. So when a pet is ailing, its system is in a state of chaotic distress.
Right.
Now, if an owner is frantic and grieving and panicking, they are just feeding more chaos into the animal's environment.
Which makes it worse.
Exactly. However, if the owners reach this ascensive level, their internal state is like a deeply anchored, immovable pillar of calm.
Okay, I see where this is going.
Right. So when she touches the dog with that focused intention, she's essentially offering her own highly regulated nervous system as a pacemaker.
A pacemaker, that is such a good way to put it.
The animal's failing system entrains to the dominant, stable frequency of the human. And that energy transfer creates the optimal biological environment for the animal's own body to initiate healing.
That completely bridges the gap for me between a miraculous claim and an actual biological process.
Right, it grounds it.
The human becomes a biological anchor.
Exactly.
And what's wild is that the source then contrasts this outward projection of healing energy with a simultaneous inward milestone.
Oh, the breathless state.
Yes. So while she is performing this highly active directed healing on her pet, her personal meditation practice hits this extreme state of internal quiet.
It's a huge paradox.
It really is. The source says that while meditating, she observed her breath becoming finer and shallower.
Okay.
And it continued to slow until she sensed she was literally no longer breathing at all.
Right. Osman identifies this as the breathless state. It's considered a highly advanced threshold in yoga science, where the body becomes so profoundly still that respiration just appears to pause entirely.
I am so fascinated by the dichotomy here.
It's wild, right?
Yeah, I mean, my mind goes to like a high-powered computer. The breathless state sounds like the computer running so perfectly efficiently on standby that the internal cooling fan simply turns off.
Yes, it's dead silent.
Dead silent. But how do we reconcile these two extremes happening to the same person at the exact same time in her life?
Well,
on one hand, she's projecting massive amounts of active energy to rewrite a dog's failing biology. And on the other hand, she is slipping into this absolute dormant, breathless stillness. How does deep dormancy fuel extreme action?
they are intrinsically linked, actually, by the concept of metabolic cost.
The metabolic cost.
Yeah, Consider how much of your body's daily energy is consumed simply by existing.
A lot, I'm guessing.
Huge amounts. Your brain uses a massive percentage of your caloric intake just to process baseline anxiety, digest food, manage a rapid heart rate, and sustain heavy, shallow breathing.
Wow.
The internal machinery is just constantly humming, constantly burning fuel just to keep you upright and alert.
So we're basically wasting our battery life on background apps we don't even know are running.
That is the perfect analogy. So when a practitioner enters the breathless state, they are effectively force-quitting all of those background applications.
That makes sense.
The physiological demands are quieted. The metabolic friction basically drops to near zero.
Wow.
And because the body is no longer wasting power on internal maintenance and stress, the mind's focus and the actual energetic output are maximized.
Oh.
Right? The deep stillness is not a void. It is the accumulation of a massive, undiluted reservoir of energy.
So when she turns her attention outward to heal the pet, she has this enormous surplus to draw from.
Exactly. Heightened internal awareness is the prerequisite for heightened external capability.
The stillness is what generates the power. That is, that completely recontextualizes meditation for me.
It changes everything.
It really does. It isn't about escaping reality. It's about stockpiling the resources to alter reality.
Yes.
And Osman makes it very clear that this ultimate quietness, this breathless state, leads to a destination that completely defies typical Western expectations.
Oh, absolutely.
He explicitly redefines the concept of enlightenment based on his own direct experience.
Because the traditional Western stereotype of spiritual evolution usually involves, a pursuit of total detachment.
Right, like we picture a monk sitting quietly on a freezing mountain.
Completely unbothered by the world.
Yeah, devoid of desire, almost completely numb to the human experience. But Osman just shatters that image.
He really does.
He states his core belief outright, that love is the most important thing in a human's life. He defines enlightenment not as knowing everything or becoming nothing, but as an infinite explosion of love.
And the language he uses to describe this state in the source is incredibly visceral. It's intense.
It is.
He suggests taking whatever feeling of love you have experienced in your normal life and multiplying it infinitely. He describes a sensation so powerful that it just overwhelms the physical senses.
He actually goes so far as to say the sensation is so intense that you literally struggle to stop it.
Which is terrifying in a way.
It is. You feel like your physical form is going to burst open from being so full of love. It sounds dangerous, almost like trying to drink pure joy out of a high-pressure fire hose.
Exactly.
How does a practitioner even process an emotion that violent and abundant?
Well, it requires a total paradigm shift in how we view the nervous system's capacity.
Okay, tell me more.
We are so used to our nervous systems reacting violently to fear or danger. Right?
Yeah, of course.
A panic attack is basically an overwhelming physical explosion of fear. Osman is describing the exact opposite end of the spectrum. A physiological system that has been so finely tuned through the breathless state that it can channel an overwhelming systemic explosion of connection.
Wow. So what does that mean for you, the listener, who might be seeking some form of spiritual growth? If the end goal is an almost violently active emotional state, the whole pursuit of detachment is entirely the wrong path.
Right. The goal isn't detachment. It is hyperconnection.
Hyperconnection.
And tracing the line back through everything we've discussed today makes that progression really clear.
Yeah, let's connect the dots.
Why did this student's practice lead to finding a deeply connected life partner?
Right.
Why did it lead to co-regulating and healing a beloved companion animal?
Yeah.
Because the objective of this specific energy balancing isn't to escape the world. The objective is to refine your internal circuitry until your capacity for love becomes so vast that it naturally overflows into every single aspect of your normal social life.
Oh, that is profound.
You don't transcend humanity to leave it behind. You become superhumanly connected to it.
Okay, let's bring this soaring philosophy directly back down to the immediate reality of the listener.
Good idea.
Because hearing about stopping your respiration and enduring infinite explosions of love can sound deeply intimidating.
It sounds like a full-time job.
Exactly. But the overarching takeaway from this deep dive is that you do not need to completely upend your life, quit your job, or move to an ashram to begin exploring this capacity.
Right. Osman actually designed his current offerings specifically for the modern average person.
The person managing a career, socializing.
Exactly. The person who doesn't have hours to spare every single day for rigorous asceticism.
And the most practical tool he offers is a completely free 5-minute yoga and meditation protocol.
Just 5 minutes.
Yep, he developed it to bypass all the usual excuses about not having enough time or flexibility. And you can actually explore it yourself at yogawellness786.com.
Yogawellness786.com.
And the source notes that this specific 5-minute protocol requires 0 contorted or difficult physical postures.
Which is a huge relief for a lot of people.
Definitely. The entire sequence can actually be performed while just lying in the comfort of your own bed.
And, removing the physical friction of sitting cross-legged on a hard floor probably helps the nervous system relax significantly faster, especially if you're a beginner.
Oh, absolutely.
Because by allowing the body to remain fully supported by a mattress, the postural muscles literally don't have to work.
Which immediately lowers that metabolic cost we discussed earlier.
Exactly. And Osman claims that practitioners begin to notice a tangible shift, like a marked calmness and a distinct boost in baseline energy for the very first session.
The very first session.
It is the most immediate, accessible application of what is essentially a deeply mystical science.
We have tracked an incredible trajectory today.
We really have.
I mean, we started with the very common anxiety of being single, and we watched it evolve into a cross-globe connection.
Yep.
We saw a veterinarian's grim prognosis overwritten by a dog resuming its morning walks.
Amazing.
And we explored the absolute dormant silence of a breathless state and how it acts as the ignition for a mind-blowing explosion of infinite love.
So cool.
And it all began a woman living a completely normal life who just decided to dedicate a few minutes a day to a simple practice.
It serves as a powerful reminder that profound internal transformation does not demand abandoning the external world.
Not at all.
It merely requires a willingness to turn our attention inward and just optimize the energetic biology we already possess.
Which leaves us with a final concept I want you to explore long after this deep dive ends.
Right, hit us with it.
We have spent thousands of years assuming that human biology evolved purely for survival.
Right.
That our nervous systems were perfectly optimized for fear, hypervigilance, and fighting off predators.
The whole fight or flight thing.
Exactly. But if a simple 5-minute daily practice can completely quiet that survival machinery and unlock an infinite explosion of love that can literally heal physical ailments.
Wow.
What if our understanding of evolution is incomplete? What if love isn't just a fleeting poetic emotion, but the actual dormant operating system of the human species, just waiting for us to stop panic breathing long enough to finally boot it up?